Yo, what is up? Today we're going to be doing how I started my fitness journey and how you can too. So, if you didn't know, I don't think I've ever gone over it before, but basically, how I started exercising was that, well, there are a few reasons, like many of us, part of it was goals. I wanted to be more attractive. I myself started as I was like a chubby kid growing up. So I had that. I randomly started like getting very self conscious about it in like grade six. Like I was already a shy kid, but then I also started getting self conscious about me being chubby. And then there was also the main like one that like made me want to change was that as much as I was a chubby kid, in general, I was just a bigger kid growing up. So I was always like one of the stronger kids. I played rugby, so I was very strong, especially like in my lower body, I was very strong. So what happened the one day is that we're doing PE and we're doing push-ups. Like it was like a not an exam, but like a test kind of. And we're doing push-ups, and I couldn't do a singular push-up. I couldn't do one, and that really like hit me because before I had taken a lot of pride in like being strong. Like yeah, I took a lot of pride in being strong. So the fact that I wasn't like I couldn't even do uh, a single one of them, and then it was rough because like right after like I failed to do like a single one. Some one of the skinny kids came and bro just busted out like 60, and like as much as it makes sense because the weight that he's pushing and the weight that I was pushing was like lighter, it was like different. Like he was much lighter than me. It was still like still hit heavy at the time. So then I got home and I was like, yo, I can't just not know, I can't just not do any push-ups. So then the way that I solved it, um, my dad's like really big. Like and when I'm saying big, I'm not talking about like fat big. I'm talking buff big. Like he's what 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", 110, 15 kgs, and like yeah, it's fat, some of it is fat, but like it's like a if he cut down he'd be like 90 kgs. Like he's very big and buff and shit. So I went to him because he was like the strongest and biggest person I knew, and I was like, yo, how do I do a push-up? And then he was basically like, okay, well, the way that he got me into it, he was like, okay, so what you're gonna do, you're gonna use this table here to like do dips, because the reason why you can't push yourself is because your triceps aren't strong enough. So how we're gonna get around that is that you're just gonna be doing dips basically on the table, and until you get to like 10. Then once you get to 10 dips on the table, you're gonna what's it called, like every week you're gonna be trying to do a push-up, you know and then like you'll basically increase the amount of dips that you do on the table, and then with like each week you try and do more and more push-ups, and it's basically like a test and you keep on going. And then that's what I did eventually, and I eventually got to actually no wait I was doing the dips, and then I was also doing those knee push-ups to like increase my amounts, and then I would like do a push-up test at the end of every week to see how many, and it basically just went up and up and up. And then like the more I once I like got to 10 push-ups, I was very happy, I won't even lie. And it was just like a thing of the more I got into push-ups specifically, the more my interests kind of expanded into other things. So I started doing squats, I started doing sit-ups. That was like the main thing. Like, and that's also around the time I like got into anime. And one of the main, not even one, the main anime I was watching at the time was Naruto. And as Naruto watchers know, there's this one character, Rock Lee, who he basically only does calisthenics. He does like hundreds of push-ups, hundreds of sit-ups, hundreds of squats. So like he started inspiring me to like, do more. And then I got into this one YouTuber, Jax Blade, who does like workout videos, and I started getting into that, and then it just expanded, and I was just into like calisthenics. So here I am, I'm like 12. It's more like 11, 12 ish. And I'm just like really into push ups and stuff. Push ups, squats, sit ups. That's what I was doing just mostly in my room. And then in like 2017, yeah, like beginning 2017, we moved from where we were staying to a new city. And obviously, with a new city, it's a we moved from Cape Town to Joburg, right? And obviously, a new city means a new house. So, in a new house, still doing push ups, squats, all that stuff in my room. But now, another thing that like I found and kind of claimed when we moved in was my mom's old weight set. She used to do exercises at some point or another, and so she had those 2 kg, the pink weights. She had those, so I took those, and then I started using those. Like I was already watching like workout related videos, so I already kind of knew some more exercises that I could use these for. So that's when, and I was like, my main goal was basically I wanted to get to 100 push-ups, right? So I was doing everything that I was doing was for the sake of getting more push-ups, basically. So I'd be in my room, I'd be doing shoulder presses, I'd be doing bicep curls, um, was that all? Shoulder presses, bicep curls. I'd use the dumbbells to like get a deeper stretch on my push-ups. I'd start doing like push-up variations. I started doing like burpees in my room. So like my parents started like hearing me like the doofing of like me doing burpees in my room and stuff. And yeah, I got really into calisthenics. Like calisthenics was my main thing. Not really like all that much cardio, like because basically I was still at this point I'm still chubby. It's just like in my mind I like have a bit of muscle, but it's not very visible because I'm like 13. I'm like 12, 13. So as much as I can tell, it's not as visible as I thought it was. So I'm here doing my push-ups. My goal is to get to 100 push-ups total, and but at that point I wasn't really focused on like leaning out, because my idea basically, because I was also looking now, I was also had like body related goals. So I was trying to look like anime characters, I was trying to look like Thor, I was trying to look like Captain America. And basically the conclusion that I came to, right, and I'm glad I came to this conclusion just because it probably helps me out in the future. But the conclusion, like long term, I guess. But the conclusion I came to was, instead of me like doing cardio to cut down, I was just gonna body recomp myself. I was just gonna gain so much muscle that the fat that I have now just like, becomes all distributed and shit, and it just doesn't matter, right? So that's the conclusion I came to. I was like, I'm just gonna get so much muscle that the fat that I have will just like either disappear itself, or it just won't look as like bad as it does, right? So then I do that. That's like basically the method. I carry that method on until like what? It's grade 9. So now I'm like 15, 14, where me and my dad start going to the gym a bit. So my dad gets in, my dad's always been like going to the gym, he has like his periods where he goes and stuff. But now I was old enough where I could come with him to the gym and actually use the equipment. Because I don't know how old all of you guys are, but some gyms, I'd assume most gyms, you can't really use a lot of the equipment until you're like 14. So if you do go with your parents, you'll just end up like existing. Like that happened a few times. Like I'd go with my parents to the gym, me and my brother would go, but we'd just like play the computer games like outside. So we wouldn't actually go to the gym. We'd just be with our parents because I guess someone needed to be watching us. So 15, now I can use the equipment, so I'm going to the gym with my dad. He takes me through like the circuits. I don't know how your gyms look like, but the gyms that I've went to so far in my life, most of them have like a circuit kind of. So it's all like machines, and they all like positioned around each other, and there's like a timer with like that step thing in the middle, and basically the timer goes down, and like you go around doing the circuit, and then you'd like take a break, and then go around doing all the exercises again. And so that's basically what we do. We do like a mix. So it'd be like we'd go there on the day, we do focused exercises. So like it would be back, it would be chest, it would be all that, and then at the end of the workouts we do the circuits. So I went with my dad. I'll do that. Then afterwards we do cardio. And what the cardio was depended on like the time. So at some point, like my dad would like to cycle because he used to do like cycling, and at the time I was a swimmer. So I would go to the gym with like my swim trunks and stuff like in my bag, and then I'd go switch out and then do like laps around the pool and stuff. Well, not around, just like back and forth in the pool, and that's basically how I'd exercise in like grade nine. It wasn't like all the time though. Like as much as I'm saying this, like the amount of consistency was very like hit or miss because my schedule in terms of it very much depended on my dad. And at the time, my dad would like go, but it wasn't like all the time. Like he'd be the times that he could go and take me would only be like on the weekends. You know, he'd go like during the week, but he could only really take me on the weekends. So it'd be like a thing of maybe like for a few weeks we're going, and then like my dad falls off, and by virtue of that I also fall off in that sense, because at that point being lifting weights wasn't in my mind. Like I wasn't trying to be lifting weights, I was just trying to be a calisthenics guy. All my goals were calisthenics, like uh related around calisthenics. So I wasn't really trying to be like lifting weights and shit. Like I could, but like I was actually decently strong. Like I remember being impressed when like my leg my leg extension was like 60 kgs. And mind you, I like barely went to the actual gym. Like my exercise purely came from doing squats in my room. The heaviest the squats in my room got was like the 2 kgs. And sometimes the heaviest maybe is like the two kgs, and I'm doing like Bulgarian split squats. But basically, I was impressed because I was like, oh shoot, I'm doing this, and I don't even, I'm just a calisthenics guy. But basically, whenever like my dad would fall off, it's not like I would be like, oh, let's go to the gym and stuff, because I myself wasn't really trying to be in the gym. Like I didn't really care about being in the gym. So that goes on. And obviously my other exercise I'm getting from sports, because this is like what, when I'm 15, so now I'm in high school. The high school that I went to, you had to do a sport every season. So there were 3 seasons. There was winter, summer, and spring. There wasn't really an autumn season. Like autumn just kind of blended into winter, because the winter season was the big one that everyone cares about. Not even was, is the big one that everyone cares about, because I live in South Africa, and winter is rugby season. And if you know anything about South Africa, rugby is our sport. Now, rugby is our thing. Two-time Rugby World Cup champions. Rugby is our thing. If we have a thing, it is rugby. We have the Afrikaans guys, we have the big black guys. We rugby is our thing. So rugby takes up 2 of the seasons. It's just all winter season. So basically, summer is when I'll do swimming. I had the choice of swimming or basketball. I tried basketball like at the camp once, and I wasn't too interested. Like I was, it was one of those, like I was already doing swimming at, like, even before we moved, I was a swimmer. My school didn't even have swimming as a sport. Like, they had swimming, but not. It would be like we'd compete in like competitions, but like closed competitions basically, and we'd go to like some other school to like do the competition. But like in terms of practice and stuff, that primary school didn't have it as a thing. um so I'd go to the gym to swim. Like I was part of the gym's club. And then we moved to Joburg, and then like I kind of fell off like doing the gym stuff, so I just didn't swim for a year. And then when I went to high school, I was more interested in getting back into swimming than like trying a new thing in basketball. So I just didn't do basketball. I was a swimming during summer. Winter, of course, I was a rugby player, because as I said, I've always been playing rugby, except for like grade seven, like when we moved, because the school that I went to didn't have soccer. I didn't have rugby. They only had soccer. And then what? Then spring I'll do like the throwing stuff. So shot puts, discus. I never tried javelin, but I'll do the throwing stuff. So that would be like my sport throughout the end. That was where my main like cardio strength, like outside of just calisthenics, that's where it came from. So grade nine, I thought I was getting big. Looking back, I see pictures, and I'm definitely not as like big as I thought I was. Which funny thing, I actually appreciate that in my mind. I've always been like, my physique has always been better looking in my mind than it was in reality, which is something that I appreciate, because it gave me confidence in that like sphere, you know, because some people have like the opposite. issue of like they've even when they're looking good, they feel like they look like shit. But like I've always been the opposite, where even when I'm looking like shit, I feel like I'm looking good purely because I'm comparing myself to where I was beforehand rather than just like to the greater general public. So I was, as much as like I had the thing about being fat, I was always happy about like having muscle. So that's grade 9. Then grade 10, I grew a bit taller, so like I kind of slimmed out a bit more. Like the distribution of my fat was a bit more since I was taller now. And that year was when when the the one that shall not be named, apparently it does something if you say the word, but we all, the 2020 thing. So that happens, and I'm at home. So I'm just doing push-ups, burpees, squats, all that in my room. Like it wasn't like, the thing is, some people like they fell out of the gym when it happened and all that, and they went out of shape. But for me personally, like I was always working out from home anyway, so it didn't really change anything. um, and then, but like my parents, they're like would exercise sometimes, and luckily I'm pretty well off, so we bought a gym. Not bought a gym, but like we like basically the one room didn't do anything. It was basically an empty room. So my parents just went on a bit of a shopping spree. They bought stuff. They bought like a My dad bought like a bench, barbell with weights, dumbbells. Um, there was equipment that they already had. They bought like two skipping ropes. They got, when did they get the bike? They got the bike. We already had a bike though, but like that bike was old by now and it like wasn't working. So I think they got a new stationary bike, and like two like those weighted sandbag things. So and then we had to like, he started doing like this workout. So it basically do like a family workout like after school. Not after school, after school technically because we're doing online classes, but like basically I think it was like five or something every day when everyone was free. We do like a family workout, and it was mostly like it was basically just CrossFit workouts. Uh, each person could like pick like make their workout throughout the day because it was all full body, but each person like had their day where they like did the workouts. So like the first like few like 2 weeks or few days or something, it was just my dad making the workouts because he's the one who exercises. Like it was me and him who exercised, but it's like he's the one who exercises, so like he was teaching all the people the movements and stuff. And then once everyone basically knew what exercises they liked and stuff, it would be like a thing of we'd rotate who's in charge of the workout each day, because it's basically their like version of, they make a workout that they'd enjoy because it has all their favorite exercises, and we'd basically rotate through that. So I remember at that point I was very much into, because I just come out of a season of rugby where we had this coach that was super into like fitness, like running around and stuff, and it made us like really endurant. So I was like, that was like kind of my focus. So like my stuff had like a lot of frog hops, back and forth, suicides, all that. And yeah, that was a good period. I didn't really like lose any weight that I can remember, or like gain any like substantial muscle. I don't remember. I think like I probably gained a decent amount, but like I didn't really lose that much weight just because I think in terms of like I wasn't like tracking my eating, so like everything in like the workout was just performance based. And then like eating wise, I didn't really track my eating, and I tend to eat a lot. Like if I'm not watching how much I eat a lot. So I kind of just stayed the same, like some muscle, but still like chubby throughout COVID. I think I probably got a bit leaner, but not like crazy leaner. And then what? Then after that, there was grade 11. Grade 11, I basically stayed the same weight, if I remember correctly. I think like I gained a bit. No, yeah, yeah. Grade 11 is when I started like gaining, because now I was like bulking and stuff. I forgot whether that was on purpose or not. And I remember that's when I started exercising. Like I was still like mostly just doing push-ups. I won't even lie. It was mostly push-ups, sports. Every now and then I'd go to the school gym with my friends. But like it was mostly just push-ups, and since we now had the weights, actually we had the weights at home, so I started actually using the weights. So I had like better weights to use. Like I was like doing the 11 kg like dumbbells. I was like using the bar. So I actually started. I wasn't like anymore a pure calisthenics guy because I had weights to be doing mixed stuff. And I remember that's when I remember my one teacher was like, oh yeah, because he doesn't like English isn't his first language, right? So he was like, oh yeah, have you been working out? And I was like, oh yeah, yes sir, I've been exercising. It's like, yeah, I can see you've been getting fat, right? Which you might think, wow, that's wild, bro. Calling you fat is crazy, but like I think he meant more like you've been getting big. It's just it's close enough in like words for second language, but yeah. So that's when I started getting like noticeably bigger. Um, so I started like bulking up and stuff, getting bigger. And then grade 12, I just like, I wasn't like I started looking better, I think, in grade 12. Definitely. Um, just continuing on grade 11, just getting bigger, but now I was kind of also leaning down a bit because I started focusing on getting leaner because grade 11 we had a holiday, then I came back, and during the holiday I started like watching Hamza because I was in like Cape Town and I was like, yo, I need to like I want to talk to girls, but I don't know how. So I started watching Hamza, and then like so then I got interested in the whole aesthetic body thing. So that's when I like started focusing on cardio. I'd wake up, do skips and stuff. Do skips in the afternoon when I got back from school and stuff. And then I got injured. I like fractured my hand during like a rugby match. So that took me out. And I basically like now I was just getting fat. Like I basically like gained. I tried to like stay the same, but like I wasn't really into tracking at the time. So I just kind of I ended up eating and getting like bigger and stuff. And once my hand healed, I was now like into exercising again, but I was already like gained the weight. And I think in my mind, I was into like the bulking mentality because in my mind, I'm like, okay, so I'll get bigger and then eventually I'll cut down. But the longer I'm in this bigger state, the more like I'll get at the end. Right. Obviously now I know I was wrong. Like, cause it's like after all, you're just fat, bro. Like, there's no extra muscle benefits from being fatter than you already are when you're already fat. So go through that. My friends start getting into the gym as well, like the ones that weren't. So like I had a few friends that were into the gym, but not all of them. So then end of year comes, we all doing our thing. That's when I start like gymming with my friends. I didn't have like a gym membership at the time, but the one friend had like a buddy tag, so they'd just like tag me in on the days where they'd all be training together, and I'll be mostly doing my home workout stuff, but then I'll join them at the gym. And then went on a trip, was feeling aesthetic. I remember I was feeling so aesthetic, in fact, that at the one club I took off my shirt, to start like, and then like the bouncer told me to like put it back on, but it was hilarious. I wouldn't even lie. Um, but yeah, went on that trip, felt good, felt sexy. I wasn't even, as I said, this is like one of those cases where I wasn't as like aesthetic as I thought I was. Like I even used some of the pictures for like before pictures, like for some of the thumbnails, but I wasn't aesthetic as like good looking as I thought I was, like body wise. But I'm happy that that was the case because I'm happy that I had that extra confidence. Regardless of how oriented it is, I'm just happy that I had that extra confidence of being like, oh yeah, I'm jacked and stuff. So then we get into 23. I go to the gym like every now and then, like as much as I can, because the thing is I'm still like Ubering to the gym, so that's like expensive because I don't have a car yet. So and I don't even have like a gym membership yet. So I do that, gym with my friends, all that. Um, and then it's like July, like we go on a trip to Cape Town, do be sexy, all that stuff. There's still the level of like I'm now starting to get a bit more aware because like I'm now in my mind I'm like yo I need to like cut and stuff, right? So still feeling sexy though because I'm still like buff. So then I do that, and then after like my friends leave because they're like studying in like two of them were studying went to the study in the US. So after they leave, in like August or something, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna start my cut. So that's when I start like actually tracking calories and stuff. I wasn't really too into cardio, but like I was into tracking calories now. So I started losing like weight. In my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get to, because at the time I was like 95, no, 94. And then in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna lose 10 kgs, get to 85, and I'm gonna be shredded, right? I was like, I'm gonna have the abs that I've always wanted. I'm gonna have the abs that I've always wanted, and I'm gonna be absolutely diced. So then, I'm cutting, cutting, cutting. I reached like 87. I'm like, yo, I'm not as like lean as I thought I'd be, and I reached like 83, dude. No, I reached like 85, and cause like in my mind, I was like, okay, but I'll go no lower than 85, 80, 83. So then I reach 85, I'm like, I'm still not there. I reach 83, I'm like, yo, I'm still not there. And then like as I go, I realize like, yo, I might have to push down how much I think I need to lose. And then I kind of like rebound from 83 and I end up back at 87. And then we go on holiday. And during the holiday, I was like, yo, I'm not really gonna stress too much about how much I'm eating and all that. Like, because we're going to the US. So I was like, I'm gonna get fat. Like, that was the plan. I won't even lie. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, I might get fat. No, I will. Like, that was the goal, right? I was like, I'm gonna eat everything, bro. I'm at the US. So we go, do what I want, eat what I want. And then I get back, and I've only really gained like 3 kgs. Like, I haven't gained as much as I thought I did. But I think that's because, like, in New York, there's a lot of like walking that happens in New York. So, like, even if I wasn't like working out, and like doing cardio, my NEAT was pretty high just because you spend the whole day walking around, so you don't really, it's hard to like gain a lot of weight when you spend like, when you've basically like been walking for the past 8 hours, you know what I'm saying? So do that. I'm now at 90 kgs, and I was happy. I won't lie. Like as much as I was surprised, I was happy that I hadn't gone all the way back. So now this is 24. Um, I get back into tracking, working out and all that, and like I'm basically on a down and up, like a rebound, a roller coaster diet. I'll drop, then I'll go up, then I'll drop, and I'll go up. But like it was like when I would go up, it wouldn't be as high as where I started. So it'd be like a thing of I'd be 90, I'd go down to like 80, 85, 83, no, like 85, and then I'd rebound for whatever reason. And then now my rebound, I'd be like at 87. And then same thing, drop 83, rebound of 85, drop 80, 83, rebound 84, something. It'll be like that. I'll stay around like the 85 though. And then like I got to like my maybe not my leanest, but the smallest that I've been, which was when I got to 79. And then I had like I forgot what made me rebound. There was something that made me rebound, and then like I got to the leanest that I've been, which was because I went into December, right? So now this is the end of year. I went into December. I was like, I want to stay the same weight because we're not going anywhere. So I was like, I want to stay the same weight, but I also need to prepare for Christmas because I know the Christmas feasting is crazy. So what I basically spent the December doing was just a ton of cardio, like an insane. Like I would do like 3 hours every day. 3 hours every day. The one day I did 4 hours. I was just like, every day I need to burn at least 1,000 calories. I was walking a lot, dude. Like I would just do tons of inclined walking. Watching Looks Maxing edits, watching cutting videos, all that, and I got to, I think I was like 81 or something, but like this 81 was leaner than when I was 79. And like I started like seeing like for the first time I saw like some of my abs, not like a hard amount, but like I saw like the bit of the top starting to like show through. So I did that. Then like I did Christmas, did New Year's, and then it kind of like spilled over into like a lot of the year. I won't even lie. Like I wanted to like, I was in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go from here and then like only up from here. I got into the actual year, then I started like slacking off a lot. like I slacked off a lot, like in terms of like working out, in terms of diets. At some point, I wasn't even tracking my food because in my mind, I was like, well, I have a good enough idea of like, how the calories are. And I didn't realize that a lot of my accountability came from being able to actually view the calories. Like you do not realize how important being able to see how much you're eating is until you like stop doing it and then you just kind of willy-nilly. So like whenever I'd randomly track, I'd find that like minimum every day I was eating like 3,000 calories. So as you can imagine, I gained weight. Like I came like the amount I gained. What when I tracked myself again, I was now like 80. No, I was 90. I'd gone back to 90. Like then this was like fairly recently. So when I tracked myself, I'd gotten back to 90 and I was like, whoa, dude. Like this is like obviously the 90 that I was at looked better than before just because I had more muscle now. No, not have. I have more muscle now. So it looks better. Like the 90 that I am now looked like when I was 85, right? Because I just have that much more muscle. So I didn't have as many like flat. Because like when I was like 90 back then, I like had a lot of like bumps on my side and stuff. But like this time, I had like two or three, but like only really when I like bent down and stuff. So I looked how I looked when I was 85. Um, but that happened, and then now I'm just kind of working on cutting. I'm back on the cut. I've locked back in because I didn't realize like how heavy of an eater I was if I wasn't watching myself. So I've locked back in. In terms of diets, I'm back on the cardio. The cardio helps a lot. Back on the working out. Right now I'm working on working out twice a day. Not in the way that you might think. Not like two weights exercises. The What I'm doing is one in the morning, which is the weights. So before school in the morning, I do my weights, and then in the afternoon on my way home, I stop by the gym, do my cardio. So that's what I'm gonna do now. That's what I'm doing now, actually. And yeah, that's the lifting journey. Maybe in the future, once I've like fully completed the cut and looking crazy, I'll do a version of this uh, where I can have like where I'll have like pictures and stuff showing, so it'll be like a cool thing. Might even make one of those David Lade, like the David Lade video where I wouldn't want to write though, writing so, but I'll probably make one of those in the future. But for now, this has been that's how my lifting journey has gone so far. It's part of the reason why like I struggle to give a time when someone asks like how long have you been training or something, because it's like if you ask like overall, I would say since 12, right? So that's like what, I'm 20 now, so that's like 8 years. But like because of the nature of it, calisthenics, and like how consistent I was, it's like do I do that, or because technically speaking in terms of consistently, I've only really been weight training since like, well, weight training since maybe 16. So that's like what, 4 years. But that was also wasn't like crazy consistent, and at some point I was just like repping out, like reps. And then like if you ask like how long I've been training in the gym, as much as like I started in like 2023, I wasn't actually in the gym enough like in terms of days for me to like for it to feel right to say I started training in 23, because it's like how it'll be like a thing of like once every weekend or something, like, and sometimes I couldn't even go because I couldn't afford it and stuff. So it's like, does that really count? I don't really think so. So like if someone asked, I'll be like, oh yeah, I've been training in the gym like for a year because I've only been able to consistently go to the gym for a year. So I'd be like, I've been training consistently in the gym for a year, because you're not just going to give some random person a long-winded story. But usually if I'm asked, I'll say like 2 years, to count, because I don't know, maybe I'm weird. But yeah, that's been the journey. I hope that's somehow, I don't know whether it helped you, entertained you, I guess, gave you a vision for that doesn't need to be, it helps you realize, yeah, I hope it helped you realize that your journey doesn't need to be like cut and dry. You're in the gym, you're perfect every single day for the last 3 years. Like it can be a bit messy. There can be a period where you just went did calisthenics, a period where you're just on and off, a period where you just weren't even on at all, you know, like you're just doing sports or something. Like your journey doesn't need to be clean as long as the journey continues, right? Because the most important thing about this, like, sorry, there's like my eyelashes are long, so so especially they grow like longer during winter because I'm guessing I'm colder or something. So like usually I have more eyebrow problems during winter and like the beginning of summer because I think my eyebrows start shedding or something. Uh, but what was I saying? Your journey doesn't need to be like cut and dry as long as it continues. Because the most important thing about my whole story is that throughout all the periods and all the events that happened and the stages and the eras of my training, I never like stopped. You know, there might have been periods where like I did it less or like I'd fall off a bit or I'd be doing different things, but I was always doing something. There was always something that I myself was doing independent of like other things, you know. During exams, I'd just be doing push-ups. COVID, even if my parents never got the weights, I would have just been doing push-ups and burpees in my room. You know, so continue, just always be on the journey, man. It's a journey. You don't need to get there. You don't need to get to the end super quickly. You know, you don't need to stress about like how efficient you are at the beginning. Just as long as you continue training, then you'll always end up where you want to be. So, you know, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. If you have something to say, or you know, have something related to your own story to say, you know, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here and want to see more. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.